Hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome back to another episode here on my Challenge Your Norm podcast, where today we are all in for a treat. Heather Parady blows my mind with her wisdom and her light and her views on this world and her self-awareness. She holds so much power that I just got off of the call with her, this conversation, and I feel lit up. I feel like I want to go out and do everything I can to create the best possible life for me and every single human who I get to spread my energy with. And I have no doubt that you're going to go away with minimum, I want to say 10 takeaways from this conversation. I'm going to re-listen to it again and again and again because it was powerful. It was beautiful. And so I'm going to stop talking now and let's go into it.
Hi, my name is Pernilla, and this is my Challenge Your Norm podcast. I'm absolutely obsessed with anything related to personal development. And well, to grow, we got to challenge our norm. And so on this podcast, we chat about life and how we can challenge our normal way of living it to make it greater than we could have ever imagined. Just one little belief, habit, bold move, and challenge at a time.
Heather Parady, I am so excited to get to chat with you today. I was on your podcast, the Unconventional Leaders, and that was such a good conversation. And I recently decided I wanted to do more interviews, and you were one of the first people that came up. You inspire me. You share so much wisdom and light with the world, and I'm just excited to dig into your brain today, if you will allow us to go there. And I just want to give a little backstory because we met at a summit called The School of Greatness. It was in Ohio.
Yes.
And how many years have you been doing that now? I've been doing it 2 years.
Oh, goodness. I want to say that was like my 5th year. I missed the first year, but I've done it every year since then. And I'm so glad I got to sit next to you. And I don't even know how or why. We just got into like a super deep ass conversation, like in like 30 seconds. And then after following you on Instagram, I was like, this is such a badass. I mean, I'm sorry I'm taking this away, but I just need to give you your flowers because, yeah, what you've done like from a physical transformation is cool, but understanding what that takes mentally to do that and to completely change your like identity and mindset, I just, damn, so much respect for you, girl. So it's an honor to be here. Thank you.
I have equal amount of respects for you. When we were talking, you can feel right away if someone has depth to them. And I felt that right away when we connected. And I also think that's why our conversation just went there right away. And then also when I was on your podcast, I can just tell you have put so much time into becoming great at your craft. You're such an incredible interviewer, and the way you enter a conversation and make me feel good, like a lot goes into that. And I remember you saying, I don't remember the exact words, but you said something about like, I'm willing to be patient and just put in the work to get to where I want to be. I'm not in a rush. And that stuck with me and something I've been taking with me because I can be impatient. Have you always been that way? Or is that a new mindset you've developed?
No, I'm innately a very impatient person. And I think the people closest to me, if they had heard me say that, they probably would have laughed. Because like from an outside perspective, I'm very driven. I'm very impatient. I'm very hard on myself. I really want to see results faster than sometimes they come. I think though deep down, like from a inner world, I've accepted that it does take time, I'm here for the long game. I'm here to really play this out. And if, quote, I don't, quote, see things change or happen, or if my, quote, dreams don't come true, which I don't believe any of that's going to happen, I'm okay with following through till the very end. I'm talking like the very end, like little old Grandma Heather to the very end, saying, I freaking tried. And I gave it up my all because I love what I do. I love this world, this personal development, self-help. It's changed my life. I know it's changed yours, and I'm forever indebted to it. So whether it's videos or speaking or podcasts or whatever, like I'm doing this thing with my life.
what do you do when that impatient part of you kicks in? Do you just remind yourself of what you just shared, or do you have, what do you do? I think a lot of us deal with it.
Yeah, it's been interesting trying to figure out, I think it's my forever battle, the temperament between kind of the spiritual side, which is ease, flow, and surrender, and then also to the masculine side where it's grind and grow and, this obsession with results. And, a lot of folks will demonize one or the other, and it's a yes and not an either or, and trying to figure out I guess seasonal energies to go into where, maybe seasonally I need to rest a little bit more and be a little bit more in flow. And I can tell that's coming when I just don't I feel drained. I feel tired a lot. And I'm trying to tap more into the energy of the day or of the season. And then sometimes I'm just I cannot stop. I don't even need as much sleep and so forth. And how I deal with impatience, I have some really great community, really great friends. Not a lot. I have a few, but those few people are so good at reminding me when I get distracted of how far I've come. I've also started this. I have in the back of my journal. It's called Great Things That Happened This Year, or Great Things I Did This Year. And every time something really cool happens, I'll go write it down, like a win. And it could be a really small win, or it can be a really big win. But I try to read that periodically. So when I journal in the morning, I don't do it every day, but sometimes I'll flip back there and I'll just read through, and I'll read through it. And I remind myself of what's already happened this year. And so many things I've forgot about, but just reminding myself that I'm already winning, that I'm already living the life that it's already here. It's already done, just, I'm not seeing everything just yet.
That's beautiful. I want to practice that and put that in the back of my journal. I journal every day, but having that to switch back to whenever you need that little reminder of gratitude for what you have, I love that. That's amazing.
And it's cool going years before too, because I have a practice of reading my old journals too. I'll have my 2024, and then sometimes I'll bring in 2019, and I'll just kind of flip through it and read it, but also have great things that happened in 2019 and so many things I forgot about. And it's just those small moments of gratitude and big picture of oh my God, I did get to have this incredible conversation on Pernella's podcast and connect with her. And man, that was such a special time. You know what I mean? And we just need to remind ourselves of those.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so powerful when you're in a low state to remind yourself of the things that you have done and the things that have gone right. And it also kind of allows you to trust the process, because you know that everything, sometimes you wanted something that didn't work out, but then that other thing happened, and then you're reminded that, oh my gosh, everything always turns out in the way it's supposed to. Because if the other thing hadn't happened, I wouldn't have learned this new thing that brought me so much joy. So it's just a ripple effect of good when you remind yourself of that. Amen. When did you start? How long have you been into self-development, and how did all of this come for you?
Yeah, it was Lewis Howes, I think, who really kind of sealed the deal for me.
That's amazing. It was the same for me when I first
Isn't that wild? Isn't that wild?
It's wild.
Man, I don't remember. I know I was in grad school because I was studying to be a therapist, and I had started a small business on the side. I was a photographer. And, when you get into business, it kind of loops in with personal development. So I started reading Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, some of those really old school dudes, listening to these old 1980s cassette tapes. They were turned into CDs now of just these men you can do it, and your mindset. And I'm okay. And I just got hooked. I was this is wild, because I had never thought about, it had never been presented to me, this idea that we have control over our lives and our makeup. And you might hear some little things, but really getting an understanding that all of this is just a manifestation of creation. We're creators at our core, and that we can, and this isn't woo, this is science, we can see something and believe something and speak it into existence, and things can start shaping and forming. And I was just like, wow, this is amazing. And then a friend of mine was like, oh, you should check out this dude. He's on LinkedIn and he's doing all this stuff on LinkedIn. And his name's Lewis Howes. So I looked him up and he was like young. And I'm like, this is weird because Jim Rohn and all these other dudes are like old and passed on and stuff. And I'm like, here's like a young dude who's like talking about it. So I started listening to his show, and Lord Jesus, you know how it goes. You just go down a spiral after that. And so it ended up where I was like, I don't even want to be a therapist anymore. I want to go into this world and do this instead. So I don't know how many years, but it's been game changing for sure.
That's incredible. Because I remember when we met, you were doing this podcast basically as a full-time job, but then you also had a different job. Is that still the case for you?
Yeah. So we have a service-based agency that we've been doing for several years. I don't know. I've never done podcasting full-time. It's never been that. I've always had a business on this side. And that's changed, and I've grown a lot in that area. You know, when people sit off, they're like, I'm going to do my own thing. You know, it is freaking hard. You have to learn not only like your skill set and what you need to sell, but then you have to learn the sales and the marketing. Then you have to learn operations, and you have to learn how to, delegate and start building out team and stuff like that. So I've always had a business on this side. Now, September 1st, this year, I'm going all in on creating and letting that go. And that's a huge deal for me because I'm at that point I can. I'll be doing like consulting and coaching and stuff like that, but there's not going to be any agency side to stuff. And I'm really excited about that. And to kind of, go into the creation piece, I've really had to come to terms over the past couple of years that I'm not an entrepreneur, I'm a creator. And I don't mean like necessarily even in the box of content creator. I mean, my calling in life is to create. I think in story. I love analogy. I love, putting something out there and giving it out into the world. And I don't think about money and scalability as much as like my real true blood entrepreneur people do. Like, I like making money, and I am going to make money, and I have to make money, and it gives me opportunity. But my mind, when I wake up in the morning, I don't think about the things that my entrepreneur friends think about. And so I came to terms with, I'm like, you are a creator with entrepreneurial tendencies instead of just being an entrepreneur who creates, if that makes sense.
That makes total sense. I can really relate to that.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. I have so many questions I want to ask you about this creator journey that you're about to embark on. But first, how have you, these past years, as you've been an entrepreneur and a creator, and had so much going on, how have you navigated all of that at once? Because that's a lot to have as an everyday thing. How do you battle or navigate having so much on your plate and wanting to do so many things at the same time?
I am obsessed, and I don't do anything else. And I would love to say to you a very, nice answer, an answer that's more accepted, an answer that paints me in a better light, that, I'm so balanced and I'm this and that. I'm not at all. And I'm okay with that, which is controversial too. I enjoy what I do. Now, I'm also too, I'm a wife and I have 2 kids. And so there's that piece into it too. And sometimes I get a lot of shit about, hey, you should have more balance in your life and do this and that. And there is an element of that that's true, but there's also this element where I'm like, I really love what people call work, and I've, especially like, in my relationship, I've had to really make it clear, because it sounds so bad. It's just true. I don't see it as like work and life. I see it as my life. You know what I mean? And yeah, I like taking
I
breaks.
definitely know what you mean.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it feels so weird saying this because, you know, people are always like, you know, but I'm like, yo, some people are just built different. Now, do I like traveling and going hiking and camping and all that stuff? Absolutely, 100%. But my mind doesn't separate what I do in my life. I'm constantly thinking of ideas. I'm excited. I love coming to my computer and working on Mondays. Like, it's a joy. So I'm obsessed with it. And I don't do a lot of stuff that a lot of people do. I don't watch a lot of television. I don't just kind of chill. Like, I hate chilling. I don't understand chill. Like, people are like, oh, you need to chill. I'm like, what does that mean? What are you talking about chill? You know, it's actually, that's probably something I need to work on. I'm in therapy right now and my therapist thinks I'm nuts because I'm like, I'm not a chill kind of person, you know? Like, we take a full day and just chill. And I'm like, that sounds terrible. Like, I don't want to do that. So yeah, I mean, that's the answer. How do I do everything? It's like I stuff, you know, my life is just full. There's always something more to do. I've really had to come to terms with too, you know, as a driven type A person with a lot of dreams, to get very comfortable and like sit in the idea that there's always going to be something else to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't check off a list and we're done ever. Like, that's never happened because there's always something else. And it's like, how do you live a life where you're very comfortable, excited, and at peace that you're never done? That's the question.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I have another question for you because you know yourself so well. Mm-hmm. I can tell that you've done a lot of inner work and analyzing your personality and coming to terms and understanding with certain ways you're different than maybe the norm, and just like understanding and acknowledging what you are and who you are and what you actually want for your life. I personally feel a lot of that happens for me. I have such a long way to go with like just understanding myself on a deeper level, coming to terms with being okay with who I am. I you know, it's a never ending journey, but what's your way of going about doing that? Like, what has been some things that you've been doing that have helped you come to understand yourself and accept yourself?
Gosh, that's such a, that's the question, friend. That is the question. That's the thing. You know, I'm 37. And I've been thinking a lot about who I am because, man, it's going by, and I know I'm still young, but it's wild how fast this has already gone. And I've been thinking a lot about what does it mean to turn 40 and 50 and 60 and grow into the kind of woman I want to be. Am I the woman that I want to be? Am I the woman that I'm proud of my daughters having as a mom? And the line between self-acceptance and then growth is so interesting because I could be like, well, this is just me, Paul, like I'm, you know, whatever, and never change, never grow, never evolve. And then there's the other element where you're just listening to all the things you should be doing and all the new hacks and books and perceptions, and you're like getting away from the essence and the core of yourself. And it's so interesting because there's no clear line for anyone. And I'm really passionate about this right now, is that we know the next answer for us and the right choice for us. And when we're externally looking constantly for an answer, for a formula, we're constantly going to be detoured and distracted from like our own magic. You know what I mean? And there's something so magical about who you are, you know, and the unique way that you move your body and explain things, and everything, that the way that you look at this world is so beautiful and different. And that's why we were, you know, I believe designed uniquely by our creator to be that reflection of God and source, you know, this unique reflection. And how I stay true to that, man, dude, I can't get it. It's such a simple answer, and I know everybody says it, but I am adamant on my morning time with myself and my journaling and my reflecting. If I don't have that time, you will know. I will know. People around me know. I spend at least an hour every morning in quiet by myself, reading my journals, thinking about my life, sitting in silence, like that time is so freaking precious. I'm also doing a project right now where I'm studying ageism in women, and I've done some interviews. I'm wanting to make it into a short film, but women who are in their 60s and older, and asking them questions about their regrets and what it means to age and just things that they understand now as an older woman. And girl, it is heartbreaking, some of it. It is so eye-opening about how, in the theme so far, and I'm very early in the process, is this deep regret that they hadn't fully accepted what they brought to the table in their life and seen it as a gift, that they were constantly wanting to be something for someone else, as opposed to being like, this is my unique gift and my unique contribution to this world, and I freaking love it. You know, I'll stop there. I can keep going.
Oh, I could keep listening to you. I knew that just one conversation with you would inspire me in so many ways. So thank you for doing that for me right now and the listeners, and also every day on your podcast. Is this documentary one of the reasons why you are wanting to go creator full time, and that you're ready for it, or what's
Yeah. So I'm working on a couple of different scripts right now. I want to start making films and getting into that world. I've been a little bit into the film scene in Atlanta. But I'm like, you know what? I think I could write this stuff. I think I could film this stuff. I think I could direct this stuff. So yeah, I have a couple of projects like that. And I'm not expecting, it's so weird with the entrepreneurial stuff, because you're constantly trying to think about like, okay, how is this scalable and so forth. So I'm working on, this whole idea of skill stacking. It's really interesting. Of you learn these skills over here because it's going to be brought in at another time. And one thing I've noticed a lot about artists, because I've been working a little bit more with artists in our business and stuff, is they're really good at creation, but they don't understand, the business side to stuff. I've been spending the past several years learning like digital businesses and memberships and courses and how all that stuff works. And I'm like, wouldn't that be cool to bring that over into the entertainment space and the creative space, where, you can make films and get into that world and stuff, but also too on the side have digital products. So I don't have to put a pressure on an art piece to make money when it doesn't want to make money right now. And you're putting too much pressure on it, if that makes sense.
It definitely makes sense. That's really, I need some of that knowledge when it comes to scaling and entrepreneurship, because I've definitely been living the more entertainer life, and I'm trying to find a way, okay, how do I not always live in like, okay, wait, how am I going to make money next month? Yeah. Which I just enjoy the process so much. So it's about, gaining those new skills and leveling up in that way.
It's never ending. Like I said, it's never ending.
Yeah. Which is beautiful, right? I'm the most happy when I'm continuously learning, which it seems like it's the same for you.
You look like you have so much fun. I love watching your content. I'm like, that is somebody who is having fun in their life. And that's so cool to see.
Thank you. Yeah, I really do have fun, especially lately. And we've gone on we've left our home and we're like traveling every month right now.
I know, I saw that. That's really, so cool.
Yeah, it's super fun. It's super fun. And it inspires you. When you change up your routine, it inspires you in new ways, and you realize things that you need to change in your life that maybe used to serve you that potentially aren't serving you in the same way anymore.
That's an interesting point right there. Creativity. So I've been studying a lot about how to open up your mind for the muse and like kind of sparks and inspiration, and how do I reverse engineer inspiration and come up with different ideas and stuff. And it's this whole idea of like what you just said, using different parts of your brain and like subjecting yourself to different stimuluses, which is wild, because when we got into personal development, this, it's like habit, routine, and that's how you get results. And so it's like, how do I take my day and how do I sharpen it so tightly that it's like a machine so I can get predictable results? So I get up at this time, I drink this, I go do this, I do this, and that's productivity, right? Yes, but also it's like when you start infusing like creativity and spirit and magic and all this stuff into your, your creative process, it requires like flow and space and different stimulus and change of routine, doing something different, which is counter to productivity. So that's what's been tripping me up lately. It's like, how do I stay productive? Because I'm type A and I love it and it's fun, comma, allow space for magic and muse and all that. And
I just got shivers because that is the exact space I've been in as well. And it's still a bit of an inner battle, because then when I allow too much space, I've actually realized that's when most magic happens, when I'm just having fun in the moment and it just happens. But then there's the other part of me that has gained so much joy and excitement and growth from the productivity Pernilla.
I know.
So it's a battle for me right now. And it's every day, sitting with myself, like, but what's actually, figuring it out, because incorporating the more space for that. Yeah.
So here's an interesting formula. Back to formula. And I've been testing this, but it's there, there's research on flow state, and it's I forgot number one. What is number one? But the second part is struggle. So you have like this problem, this idea, and then you wrestle with it, a deep, deep struggle. And then after struggle is immediately release. And then after release is an idea. And so the middle part there, it's like you work, like if I had, a problem written on my Remarkable, by the way, everybody needs to get a Remarkable. These things are the bomb. If I have my problem here and I'm sitting here, let's say I'm writing a script and I spend an hour on it and I just like give everything. And at the end, when you're just like kind of staring into space and you're just like, I can't even, my brain is gone. You let go of it and release. And then that process of letting go, inspiration comes, and then you come back. So it's like, how do we create systems where we struggle with something, we push really, really hard into it, but also schedule in times of release, of play, because that's when the inspiration is going to come. You know what I mean? So it's like a yes and, not either or. But here's what I do. I don't know if you do this. I schedule in playtime or release time, and I usually fill it in with something else. And I don't really take the release time. And that's something I've really got to work on,
That is something I'm going to apply, because that is when the magic happens. You're right. It's like, I have done that pre-work, whether it be a script or it just be an idea of something I want to create, but I can't figure out, like, there's something that needs to fall into place. When I then have to let it go, that's when that space is created for me to then the perfect idea comes out. So I'm going to intentionally apply that from now on. That was incredible. I went to your page and you share your process in making these videos, which my mind was blown when you shared that, because I've been trying to, I have never, like, I've done YouTube courses, I've done like just any like creator courses, but for me to find how to actually go about writing a script has been really hard for me to find something that fits for me. And the way you break it down was powerful, and it works in your content. Did you come up with that? Like, how have you put that together? How have you found your process?
Oh my God, hundreds and hundreds of videos that were complete crap. That's how I figured it out. You know what I mean? Like, I tell folks a lot, like, you find your voice by using your voice. And I am convinced that the only way to find your process is to be a beginner out loud in front of everyone. I told someone the other day, they were wanting to start to make videos. And I said, friend, because she was so paralyzed with, what should I do? What are people going to think? Is this going to work? And I said, my friend, there is no way of getting around being a beginner in front of everyone. And you have to get really settled with, I am okay with being embarrassed in front of Pernilla. I'm okay in being embarrassed. I'm okay with that, because my process, and I was so reluctant to share it because I I can't stand formulas. You know, people are like, this is the way to do it. And I'm like, maybe for some people, and some people it's different. That's what's so beautiful about who we are as humans. But the process came from me doing so many shitty videos. Like I've just done terrible. Like if you scroll, like they're ridiculous. I've done sketch. I've tried trends. I've done serious ones. I've done like all this stuff. And finally I got frustrated, interestingly enough, really frustrated last July. It was a couple months, I guess, before you and I met. And I was just like, I'm so tired of trying so hard on all this content. And I don't feel like it's working. And it wasn't just like a numbers thing, you know, but also too, it just didn't feel like me. And I was like, I'm doing what Gary Vaynerchuk says. I'm showing up constantly. I'm putting in the work. It's been years. When is it going to pay off? And I took that chair right there and I put it right beside me. And I'm like, I'm just going to sit my ass in this chair and I'm not going to get up until I have something to say. Like, I'm going to figure out who I am in this chair and I'm not going to get up. It was like crazy. So I only made content in the chair because I'm like, if I can't figure something out with this restriction, then I'm not going to figure it out. And I didn't know it then, but I've learned since studying like Rick Rubin and, you know, some other creators that creative restriction is really, really important when you're struggling. So if you have too many things going, limiting your options is really, really helpful because those perimeters actually make you more creative, which is really ironic. So sitting in that chair was a creative restriction that allowed me to start understanding story beyond just the hook, because people talk a lot about hooks, like you got to get their attention. Yeah, but you also need to keep their attention and you want them to come back. And so I started playing with different formats. The very first video I did, I had so many, it wasn't like a huge viral hit or anything, but people who knew me sent me messages and said, that was so you, that was so cool. That was just like the most Heather thing ever. And yeah, I've just sharpened the process since. I've recently gotten out of the chair and I'm doing videos in other locations now, but I did over 100 just sitting in there, figuring out how to tell a story.
Wow. I think that the listener, if they've been struggling, that might be a challenge for them to place their butt in a chair and sit there and figure it out, because I think a lot of us, me included, escape that. It feels hard, but we don't put our ass in that chair and figure it out. And what you said about I'm okay with Pernilla judging me, I think that's all of us are fearful of judgment. It's so hard. I have struggled so much with fear of judgment. It's been my biggest struggle in this creation world. It's been when I hit publish, oh damn.
And you're in fitness, which is like even like, I feel like a very hard space. Yeah.
But by doing it and asking myself, Pernilla, are you going to not do this and stay stuck forever because you are afraid of being judged? Or are you going to do it and learn whatever needs to be learned through this process, through the feedback, the good and the bad? And it's the commitment. No, I'm going to show up and I'm going to do this. And it is such a learning process. When you get judged, it's a journey of learning to love yourself, I feel. Whenever you get a feedback from someone who is not liking what you do, let's just say.
Doesn't know you.
Yeah, who doesn't know you. It's being quiet with yourself and asking yourself, is there truth to this? And if there's not, then okay. I know myself, and it's okay that maybe, you know, this person sees me in a different light, or maybe there's something I need to change in the way I, you know, show up and share. And if there is something to it, then it's time for digging deep and getting to the bottom of that and seeing, okay, well, how can I grow from this? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's something wild. I'm about to do a post on this. You'll see this pretty soon. I had this like revelation a few months ago that a lot of my haters were 100% right. Let me explain. I was getting all these. Now, some are just mean. Some are just mean, and there's a difference. I'm not talking about somebody who's like, I hate you, you should go to hell, blah, 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 you're worth nothing. I'm not talking about those people who, like, God bless them. I'm talking about, like, I was getting these comments, and people were like, you move so much, you're giving me a headache. People said, I can't understand her because of her accent. Good God, you mispronounce so many words. Your mic, you really need to learn how to edit videos better. Your sound is crazy, whatever. I would get really like kind of hot about this stuff because I would, people would say like a big thing is you move too much. I don't know if you noticed, I do this a lot. Like I'm a mover. I love moving in my hands.
Oh my gosh, I've gotten that comment so many times too. Yeah.
I'm so expressive.
Yeah.
And my response to that was, I was like, no, I don't. Or I was like, yeah, but that's a good thing. And then finally I had this thought. I'm like, Heather, what if these quote haters are 100% right? And that's why some people love you. So I made this page on my website. It's called Testimonials, and it's all these screenshots of these comments. And I'm like, I do move a lot, and I have a lot of energy, and sometimes that gives people headaches and they can't stand it. And sometimes that means that they love like my passion and zeal. And I do mispronounce words, but I haven't let it keep me from speaking. I struggle sometimes with this and that. My audio is off sometimes, but I still post it. So all of this stuff is like an equipment. It is power to me if I can reframe it in that way and be like, hell freaking yeah, I do. That is 100% right. And I love that about myself, Now that doesn't come easy and natural all the time. I get my feelings hurt. But I think that's where so much of our power can be as creators, when we can bend back to that self-acceptance and really not being moved by the ever-changing opinions of other people. That's like where I want to get to. And that's why I'm excited about getting older too. I see that in older people where they're like, okay, and I can't wait to be that way. And I think it's going to come with age. But yeah, that's it.
That's such a good way to look at it. And what I was just thinking is, for someone who wants to get to where you are, they're in their early 20s and they are like, I just want to learn to view the world and be so accepting of myself, like Heather, and wise. What would you say is a book they could read, is a little, just like small step daily habit they could incorporate into their life to slowly, like someone who feels like they're so far from that? Mm-hmm. Do you have any advice?
Well, first of all, I just wish I could hug that 20-something-year-old because it's so, and I have obviously a long way to go in this process. I've come a long way and I'm proud of how far I've come. But I remember being that age and feeling so small. I came from a really hard background. I wasn't educated. My education stopped at a very early age. I've always felt stupid. I felt just less than. I never felt like I belonged in a room. You know what I mean? When you go into a room and you're like, I'm not cool enough or successful enough or whatever enough to be in this space. I've always felt like that. The fact that you are asking yourself these questions and wanting and desiring to be more, as simple as it sounds, to me means you're going to be okay. Because most people rolling through this world don't give a shit. They're not thinking about long term. They're not thinking about vision. They're not thinking about their calling. They're not, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying they shouldn't or they couldn't or they won't. They're just not awake. You know what I mean? I don't mean woke in a political sense. I'm talking about a spiritual sense of like really being in tune with there is more to this life than what we've been told. There's something calling me. There's a still small voice inside of me that's burning. There's, whatever you want to define it at, God calling you to something. The fact that you're in tune to that, the fact that you recognize it, you will be okay and you will figure it out. And the right books are going to appear and the right people are going to appear because you are noticing that and you care about it. Like even when I had my first kid, I was so scared. I'm like, am I going to do a good job at this? And somebody told me this. They're like, the fact that you're worried about doing a good job means you're going to do a good job. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you're not aware, that's when there's an issue. So what would I tell that young person? I love you and I'm going to give you a big hug. We've all felt there. We've all been that way. The fact that you're the type of person who wrestles with this means that you are going to develop and grow into the type of person you want to become just because the desire is there.
That was beautiful. You said you come from a harsh background, and I many people who are seeking growth and wanting to develop and get to know ourselves better, it's very often people who have harder backgrounds. Do you think there's something to that? What's your thoughts on that?
Yes, if you read Think and Grow Rich, which is a must read, this idea that there is a seed of advantage, of equal advantage to hardships. It's this polarization. When there is struggle, the equal to that is opportunity. And that's not just some cute little Hallmark card, whatever. It's not there to make you feel better. It's understanding the rhythms where when you struggle and when you go through something hard, there's some sort of advantage and gift in it that if you can, like I was saying, reframe and see the struggle as a gift, you can actually use it as your competitive advantage. And you see this with, all the people that we admire, they leverage their pain. The Rock, he had, those 7 cents in his pocket and grew up this way and that, and he leveraged that to become just this massive force of good in this world. Oprah did it. It's like, how do you transmute that energy that was there to destroy you and twist it and turn it into something that's powerful? And if you look at Alfred Adler, psychologist, his theory of like our human condition was that we're all born with a sense of inferiority. So maybe you grew up poor, maybe you have a disability, maybe, your mom didn't take care of you the way that she should have took care of you. Like there's always something, that thing that you think positions you in the world as a disadvantage. And what he taught is this idea that you never get rid of that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's always going to be there. What we can do is we can steer it towards societal good. And so the whole concept was like identifying your deepest wound and your pain, and then matching that with the world's greatest need and how that has uniquely positioned you, Pernilla, in this world to bring healing and restoration to others who have felt the way that you have felt. And when we can steer our energy towards that societal good, that's when that disadvantage becomes our competitive advantage.
Woo! That's so good.
Cool.
That's so cool. Do you know what that is for you? Do you know, is that something?
Yeah. Yeah. So I am, like I told you earlier, I was never the cool kid, ever. Like, I laugh. It's not funny, but it is funny. Like, I literally got beat up at a homeschooler's birthday party. It's not funny. It's also funny. Like, that's how lame I was. Like, I was made fun of by, like, homeschool kids are like the rejects. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are like, oh, the homeschoolers. Those kids beat me up and made fun of me. Like, they were, I was not, I didn't have friends. I grew up kind of like more of a bullied. I was very isolated, very, very isolated. So I see that, I search for it, I notice it in a room. It's actually been hard for me in the entrepreneurial success space because I kind of grew up with a chip on my shoulder towards those people. You know what I mean? Like the cool people, those people were the bad people. And I've really had to work on reframing that because that's a prejudice that I've had and I've got to let go of it. But I notice the underdog. I notice the outcast. I notice the kid in the wheelchair. I notice the girl who doesn't look like she's showered or has cool clothes. Like I notice those people. The whole concept of unconventional leaders at its birth was thinking through the person who feels a calling on their life but don't feel worthy standing in the rooms, you know? So I haven't figured out yet what and how I'm going to do in this world with that. I have a lot of ideas on paper. I think some of these films are going to be interesting as I get older and as I get richer and as I have more experience and opportunities. It's going to come. I'm going to do something really special one day with it. But as of right now, my conviction is to, I know it sounds small, but when I'm at these conferences and when I'm in these rooms, by God, go sit with that person and befriend them, you know?
That's beautiful. That's really, really beautiful. I'm curious what book you're reading and if you have like a few recommendations.
I have so many recommendations. I love books. Oh my gosh. Well, for what? Give me a topic, because like there's like storytelling, creativity, there's mindset, there's, give me a topic.
One of each would be great.
Oh my gosh. Let's start with creativity. I'm obsessed with that right now. To me, creativity is another spiritual pursuit, you know? It's such a spiritual thing. I love Creative Act, Rick Rubin. It's a little, if you're very new to the kind of creative process space, you might be like, this is the weirdest thing I've ever read in my life. But if you're all about it, start there. If you are kind of newer, I would say Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert is phenomenal. I love her. Have you read it?
I have listened to the audiobook, but I don't, right now it feels foreign to me, so I must have not paid too much attention when I was listening. But it could have been like years ago, and that's why it's just in my audiobook library. Yeah, maybe I should go back. I should go back and listen.
She gets this idea that ideas are living entities and that we can start like seeing ideas as something that comes and we can do something with, or it'll go to somebody else.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's just this fascinating concept. So anyway, those are the books for creativity. I also I want to mention Stephen Pressfield, The War of Art is phenomenal. And also he has a book called Put Your Ass Where Your Heart Wants to Be. And you'll love this, Pernilla. It's this idea that you need to physically move somewhere if that's the epicenter of your dream. And he's like, you know, digitally we can do all this stuff, but there's power in physically moving and being in an environment that cultivates your dream. And you've done that. You are living that. So that's a great book. I mentioned Think and Grow Rich from Mindset. I think that is really, really important. I have all my books here. Everything is Spiritual, Rob Bell. Anything? God, I could keep going. I've got to stop. The Alchemist is phenomenal. Lord Jesus.
That's amazing. I love those. Yeah. So great. What's one thing that you're very excited about right now? I have two more questions for you, then I'll let you go. It's 4th of July. So you have celebrations to do.
What am I excited about? Oh man, I'm scared and I'm excited for this new venture. You know, I have a business that I've worked really hard to build, and it's working and it's profitable and it does good. I mean, I'm not like a multi-millionaire or anything like that, but I make a good living from it and I've worked very hard to get there, and I'm freaking just going to let it go. Like, let it go this fall. So I'm very scared about it. I'm also very excited because I've never given myself the space to fully dedicate myself to something that I believe in. I've always had kind of like a crutch or something that I could hold on to, but letting go. I have to practice what I preach. And so I'm really excited about that coming up. And if I fall on my face and whatever, then so be it. At least I know I tried, you know? So that's what I'm most excited about, most terrified.
That is so exciting.
Yeah.
Heather, you are such a light. You have so much wisdom inside of you. I'm like talking to you, I'm like, I gotta level up. I gotta start. How much do you read in a day?
I mean, I probably just 30 minutes a day I read. So.
Okay, but you've done that consistently for a long time, and you study yourself and you study the world, and you just have such a fire for growth, which is lighting my ass up. So thank you for that, and thank you for everything. I don't know how you say that,
girl, because you were like, oh my God. I was talking about you before you reached out to me. I was talking about you the other day to somebody. I don't remember who it was in the context, but I was saying like, there's something about her mindset, because I watch all your videos and whatever, that is just like this I'm fascinated with what you've done physically, because it's not about the physical. And you talk about this all the time. It's about you figured out how to tap into just another level of grit, and it's manifested physically, but it's like, man, if we could learn how to do that in like all areas of our life, like think about it. Think about who like we would be as humans. And you've done that in that area of fitness, and I'm just so amazed by you. So you're saying all this, but damn girl, it's like you write a book, I'm reading it.
You've done that with your business and with your family life and with your creations, and you do that. It feels like, looking from the outside, talking to you today, that you are on this mission from when you wake up till you go to bed, which is just an inspiration for me. And the fact that you also are a mother and a wife is very, very inspiring, that you hold it all. And I know that we're all imperfect, and we do, we make mistakes. That's a part of life. But the fact that the way you show up in this world, I'm so inspired by it. And I know that every single human listening to this wants to go listen to your podcast and watch your videos if they haven't done yet. So I'm going to leave all your links below in the description, but will you just, where can they find you? What should they look up to connect with you more?
Yeah, it's just at Heather Parady everywhere. I spend most of my time on Instagram. That's what I create content for. But I would start with the episode I did with you, Pernilla. One of my biggest takeaways from that, and I actually have it I have a sheet of ideas for reels, and I've been working on a script that uses your clip in it about shifting anger towards like passion, that idea. And that was like kind of the first time I've ever thought about that or heard it. And you shared about that on our episode. So if you're going to check anything out, listen to the episode I did with Pernilla. I thought that was game changing.
It was such a good conversation, and I would love to do more of this. I'm so grateful that you were willing to come on today, and it's 4th of July, so you gotta go celebrate. But I have one last question, because this podcast is called Challenge Your Norm, and I'd like to set myself challenges that challenges my norm so that I can grow and get better. And I know that you do that all the time in your life. For the viewer or listener, do you have one challenge that you think would benefit them if they went out and challenged themselves today?
I got it already. So here's the thing. Things I'm working on right now, some of it is working really well, some of it's not. What I've been the most, I'm gonna like cry when saying this. What I've been so proud of is I feel like myself for the first time in a really, really long time. Like I really feel like me. When you see these like videos I'm making, when you listen to the podcast, that's Heather, like I don't hide my insecurity. I talk about it all the time on the podcast. I'm like, I don't know about this. I don't know about that. I'm like just super, super open about stuff. I am so quirky. I move a lot. I feel like an odd duck. And there's been for so long, I feel like I've had to present myself to the world to be respected, to be liked, to be loved, to be taken seriously as a woman. and really saying F that and leaning into who Heather is and being fully lit up with my personality, with my weirdness, with me moving a lot, with me saying y'all, with me, not letting go of my accent, with me talking about things that I'm screwing up and messing up. I mean, I freaking I'm emailing my newsletter, just screenshots this Friday of the back end of my videos, what's working and what's not, and just being fully transparent about it. And I know that sounds scary, but on the other side of it, it is the most freeing, amazing feeling in the world because my cards are on the table. You know what I mean? And I'm like, there it is, world, And so my challenge is that one little part of yourself that feels like home. Maybe you're a naturally quiet person. Maybe you're somebody who is hyper. Maybe you're somebody who thinks about the world in this different way. Maybe you have a freaking scar on your arm that nobody's seen. Let people see you. You're going to be so surprised how much love you're going to get, and you're going to be it's going to feel like home. It feels so good to be seen. And you have to work up to that, but please try.
Thank you, Heather. That was...
Yes, big hug. So this was great. This was great.
It was so great. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for everything you do.
You're the best.
You're the best. And I hope I see you in the Summit of Greatness this year.
I'm not going.
I don't know if you're coming. You're not going. Well, then we're going to find
we got to end on that note. I'm not going.
We'll find another way to see each other at some point. But
we will see each other. Yes, totally, girl.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.